Hello everyone and welcome to Unicorn Light Tarot. Sincerely hope everybody is doing amazingly well today. Welcome one and all, whether this is the first time you've ever clicked onto a video or reading or whether you have been here before. Welcome. Today we have a beautiful reading. We are checking in with your spirit guides. So it's your divine messages from spirit, and we're going to leave it up to them. See what comes out today, whatever is needed in your life today. We're going to provide some support for you. So as always, we have 3 piles and just really drawn to images today. So there's messages on each of, obviously on each of the cards, but there's messages on each of these Moonology cards here. So this is the first card. We're just going to go with the image first of all to choose a pile, and then you will get the message later on. I thought this was beautiful too. These 3 images just call to me today. That beautiful hare, that rabbit there in the world. So however you choose your pile is your own personal private business, of course. But if you need more time, go ahead and pause the video. The timestamps are down below as always. And as always, the more you are attuned with yourself and your beautiful intuition, the more these will resonate, as they are collective readings. They are not personal readings. So the more you are attuned with the collective, which is obviously you and your beautiful intuition and your heart, then the more these are going to resonate. So feel free to pick any pile that you want. Some people pick all of them. That's wonderful if all the messages resonate with you. If one pile does not resonate with you, feel free to choose another one. And if that pile doesn't resonate, then maybe the messages are not for you today in the collective. But do check back with us, because there will be messages for you in the future. So let's go ahead and get you those messages. So we're going to put aside pile 2 and pile 3 for now. So if you chose beautiful pile 1, then your divine messages from spirit are on their way. And let's go ahead and see what your first message is. I accept that here now is exactly where I am, and that is a place of profound learning. All right, so that is your first message, and probably sort of a message for overall. Let's see what else we have for you though. I accept that here now is exactly where I am, and that is a place of profound learning. All right, so let's put that to the side here. I'm going to start with Oracle and move on to Tarot for some extra messages for you. Let's get right into your reading. I'm going to start with these ones. Share your voice. Come out of the cave. Persecution expression. Excellent. Well, not excellent if you're feeling persecuted, but you know what we mean. And then play. Have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. Okay, and then you've got forgiveness. I forgive myself, I am forgiven. Okay, and then you've got sacral chakra, number 10. I feel comfortable in my own body, and I'm sensitive to others' feelings. Okay, so messages for you, pile 1. It feels as though, and it seems somewhat specific, but this is very clearly what I'm getting for you, pile 1. Normally it's sort of a little bit more open, but it feels as though you guys are really working with getting your voice out there and being heard, right? And sort of delivering your authenticity to the world, sort of to different degrees, which is absolutely wonderful. Now, some of you are in a position to deliver that authenticity, but you've hit a little bit of a rut insofar as you've gotten to the point where you've sort of plateaued and you're wondering sort of not necessarily which direction to move in, but lost a little bit of that vavum, a little bit of that confidence moving forward. Now, it feels as though there should be celebration about you moving forward with your authenticity and sharing your truth, right? Because everybody has their own version of truth. And it feels as though in the past, there may have been some blockages to you sharing your authenticity. There were certain situations where you couldn't have shown it, or if you did, I don't know, bullying happened, something happened where you sort of came back into your shell a little bit. And for each and every one of you, of course, because these are general readings, it'll be a little bit different, right? And of course, we have the first message which says, where you are is a profound place of learning. So right now you're on the precipice of really embracing your authenticity and absolutely going for it. Now, you've been doing this and you've been slowly opening up again, sort of the peeling back the layers of the onion, and you have the chance to really take off and go for it. But there's a lot of second guessing when you've hit this plateau. So, and it's almost like you're trying to figure out if it's safe to move forward. So you're looking at numbers, you're looking at energy, you're looking at that, and nothing about that is wrong or incorrect, but it may not be showing how important your voice is, may not be reflecting the real truth of how much your authenticity and your voice and your truth is needed, right? You may be looking at the data in a way that suggests that you don't think it's really important, and maybe you won't put yourself out there in the way that you could. And also there's a seriousness around it, like, overthinking it, sort of looping into your head, because of course you're bringing yourself back to the past and you're replaying old moments, or it's triggering old moments of when you didn't feel comfortable in your skin and when other people's opinions of you did sort of matter. Now, these could have been very specific circumstances, like where you really did try to show your authenticity and it sort of didn't go well. Somebody said something and you were hurt, and you sort of came back in a little bit into your shell again. Or even bigger, like you've been in a situation where you've been bullied or something. Our heart goes out to you if that happened. Or in a situation where you just were not heard, so it was not encouraged at all, and in fact you needed to shut down your authenticity and your truth out of sort of survival. And it could be a sort of a combination of all of the above, right? And also there's an essence of you where some of you, and this could be slightly subconscious, but if this is resonating as part of the reading, then it's probably not as subconscious. It's probably somewhat conscious or coming to the surface. And somehow some of you might be feeling, really hard on yourself, incredibly hard on yourself for putting up with that behavior, for not showing your authenticity in those situations, for not sort of standing up for yourself, even though you did perfectly fine in those situations and you were in a survivor type situation and you did what you could. And in many ways you did sort of rise above it in your own way, and you were absolutely incredible. And again, it doesn't excuse, the circumstances or what other people did to you, whether they realized they were doing it or not. It feels as though you have incredible strength, and people realized this. And this is something that you're realizing too. People realize this, that, if they took the piss or they did that, or if, they treated you a certain way, you would bounce back, right? Because you showed incredible sort of versatility and chameleon-like-esque. So you bounced back in your own way, but it doesn't excuse what they did. And you did bounce back in your own way, but there's some of you that are still like not forgiving yourself for, putting up with that situation for so long, and this, that, and the other. And again, all of those situations were somewhat out of your control, and you did the best you could. And actually in those situations, you did better than you could. But as you look back and you're replaying these situations, you're being very hard on yourself, because of course you're thinking to yourself, why is this still coming up? Why am I still being triggered by this? So you're being naturally quite hard on yourself. And you have a very practical, beautiful mindset where it's trying to put two and two together. If I healed from this properly when I was younger, then this wouldn't be happening to me now, and this, that, and the other. Well, that's not entirely true. You don't have every part of this down, all layers of the truth. You did all that you could, and then you were on protection mechanism just a little bit. And now the fact that you've been triggered in this way, where you've gotten to this point where you are sharing your voice, you're starting to do that, you're starting to move into your authenticity, and there's a little bit of a stunting process, just means that there's a little bit more to sort of learn about yourself. Again, this profound learning and really coming into and solidifying your strength in this way. but you're still being very, very hard on yourself. And of course, you're taking this quite seriously because you're wondering if, you can move forward in the way that you want to, or this business that you've got planned, or whatever it is that you want to do in the world, if you'll be able to do it. Yes, of course you will. Now, there's one practical way that we can say, objectively from a macro version, because we try to do that on this channel, is that the way in which you're actually communicating with the world, your authenticity is absolutely needed, and it's beautiful. Don't worry about the data that you feel that you have in your head that's somewhat lacking, that you're not doing as well as you could, or maybe people aren't, it just, however you're selecting this data too, however you're selecting this information, it's coming out of a place of protection. So it's not exactly entirely accurate. The most entirely accurate stuff that we can give you, the data we can give you, is that you are needed. And your voice is needed, your truth is needed, your authenticity is needed, and to power through it and put yourself out there no matter what. Eventually it will get easier. It sounds like a little bit of a brutal way to do it in a way, and we totally understand that. But honestly, the only way to do it is just to do it. It's just to get back on that horse and keep sharing your truth and keep sharing your truth. You will come out of this on the other side. But there is intense doubt, which again is triggered from the past. The past is over, but it's bringing up a little bit of parts that need to be healed, some of the fragments that are coming back. Now, all of this can be done, and it will be done much quicker if you keep sharing your truth and get out there. And don't worry about the external stuff. Whoever's going to find your truth, whoever's going to appreciate your authenticity, they need you. You don't need to worry about the numbers. You don't need to worry about the people that you're not reaching, or the people that aren't getting your voice. That's totally fine, or are not appreciating your authenticity. Don't worry about that. You're not here for them. You're not here to save anyone. You're just here to share who you are. But the right people are stepping up right now to hear what you have to say. So let's get you some more. Now, as I picked up this pack, this tarot, the first thing is Nine of Cups. So we're going to pull this out because it's one of my favorite cards. Absolutely love these cards. So that is an absolute indication that everything that you want in this world, Pile One, is coming to you. And it's all part of showing your authenticity and your beauty. Again, we say on this channel all the time, enlighten up, and please forgive yourself for any misconceived notion that you could have done things differently or better back then. You were in survival mode. You did what you could to protect yourself. And actually, again, you did incredibly well. But your resilience is something that people picked up on. So they really came at you, for some of you, because they knew that you were strong, and they kind of wanted to pull you down, and you were strong. But you got a lot of this. So it's understandable that it's coming up at this point where you're sort of, for some of you, you're kind of on the precipice of sort of taking off in a way. Let's put this over here. So of course, as you start sharing your voice and your integrity and everything, and you get to this sort of plateau where you could go even further, of course, anything that's coming up that's unresolved is going to come up for you now to be able to heal, for you to review. But there's no reason to go down the rabbit hole, Pile One. Unfortunately, a lot of you are going down the rabbit hole by, not forgiving yourself, taking it too seriously, really allowing this doubt to go round and round and round, which is perfectly, totally understandable. And some of you have become very sort of sensitive to how you put your voice out there too, because, there's nervousness about it because you've hit this plateau, and you're sort of, you feel as though you're on shaky ground a little bit, But at the same time, what's really good about what's going on is that you're not dumbing down your voice or your authenticity when you show it. You're just pulling back from the platforms on which you show it. So keep stepping up, keep getting out there. The only way to do it is to power through it and know that the right people will come and listen. And you are doing absolutely incredibly great work. Now, the people who come and listen may come in and out, and you might be coming into a version of self where you are attracting a wider audience. So for a while, if you're looking at the numbers, they might be up and down. But again, the external doesn't matter here. Still want you out there, still putting out your voice in this incredible manner. Let's see what we have. Yeah, you've got the 10 of Pentacles here, and you've got the 8 of Wands. So keep sharing your voice. Something is coming in. We all like to have a little bit of validation. I think that's perfectly reasonable, especially when we're sort of doing something new or we're doing something on a brand new level and you really have stepped up recently, right? So you do like to see if you're on the right lines, if you're going in the right direction, if you're on the right path. And that's perfectly reasonable. But at the same time, don't doubt yourself. The external is coming in for validation, and it is there for validation if you look at it. But sometimes when you keep questioning yourself, the validation may not be enough, right? Trust us, it is enough. Whatever you're doing is absolutely incredible. You're out there building communities. You're also talking in a way and really delivering your voice in a way, and the truth that you're speaking, it's not like it's never been spoken before in any way, shape, or form. There are others out there like you, and again, you'll be like a lighthouse. Speak your truth, others will find you. But at the same time, you've always been a little bit further along in communication. That, you know, your ideas and the concepts that you talk about are large and deep, and not everybody goes there. So it's totally understandable that you're feeling a little bit lost as you go out there and you're trying to navigate this world for you as you start speaking your truth. But there are other people out there, and the validation is coming in and the support is coming in. But you're here to do this, to build new communities. You're here to build the new earth, to build, you know, well, it's all here, but to solidify something new. So of course, the way in which you speak about something, even if you're talking about a concept that people, you know, that people could be quite familiar with, you're going to come at it at a different degree with different lines of inquiry, and that's totally understandable. People need that. Trust us. You know, your ideas are not so far ahead that people aren't going to get it. That's the other thing that's triggering you too, because in the past that's happened for you. You know, all of your work, if you're creative, whatever, it's always been like 1, 2, 3 steps sort of in front of everybody else. So it's never really, it's not always hit in the right direction and had the kind of like outpouring that other people's work has had, right? But it's very, very powerful, and your time is coming. There is a divine timing coming to this, right? So it's all going to hit at the same time. Everything is relevant. Move forward. Do it for your community. Do it with the aspirations of building a better earth. And don't worry about the outcomes, where it's landing right now. If you need to come back into yourself and pull back those fragments and get very grounded into your own foundation, then go ahead and do that, and don't worry about what's going on out there. But go out and keep sharing your authenticity and your beautiful voice. Yeah, you've got that. You see, you've got that little ickling. I don't even know if that's a word, but we're going to call it that. We're going to make up our own language here on Unicorn Like Tarot. Not the first time I've done it. Thanks to my dyslexia. 2 thumbs up. So, you know, there's just this little voice in you that keeps saying, pulling you down, or don't do this, and then, you know, it's not landing, it's not whatever. When actually you should be in celebration. You've got have fun, celebrate, don't be so serious. You've got celebration in 2 cards. Moving forward, what you're doing is beautiful. Yeah, I mean, it's not light years, you know, in front of everybody else, but it might be coming into new world and not new world, a new earth kind of stuff, where you're coming at it from a different point of view. But there are others who think like you, and again, in order to find them, you've got to express your voice and express your authenticity, and know that they're out there, and they are. The self-doubt that's come in, see it, if you can, see it as something that's happening for you, not to you. Again, it has profound learning in there. There's still fragmented parts of yourself. Don't go down the rabbit hole, which is what you've been doing. That's part of the devil card. Don't do that. Don't go into past addictions or past ways of dealing with things that were in avoidance in any way. They won't work out for you this time. They absolutely won't. At times, there are times that you probably, for some of you, needed to be numb just to feel something, which sounds counterproductive. It sounds counterintuitive, like it can't work, but it did for you. But trust us. Don't worry about those, those surrounding thoughts that are going through in your mind. The external validation is coming in. You will feel connected to your community. That's another thing, where you're feeling very isolated when you're talking. So of course you're feeling as though everything that you're saying isn't hitting home, but it is. It absolutely is. Again, get out there, keep sharing your voice. Have that beautiful momentum going. Don't worry, otherwise other people will see you as a lighthouse. And if this sort of devil card keeps coming up, this devil energy keeps coming up with the old stuff, come in, stop for a second, see what you can do. Go back and heal some of those fragments, that fragmentation part of yourself without going down the rabbit hole. Again, forgive yourself for anything that you thought that you couldn't have done. You did brilliantly. In fact, you rose above and beyond, which is why you got more, which is heartbreaking, but absolutely true, right? So you've absolutely got this. And don't worry about how it's landing with other people. Don't worry about the negativity. Don't worry about other people not being able to deal with your work or anything. This is all about the people who are resonating with you. Don't worry about any of it. Some of you are extra sensitive about how you're sort of censoring yourself in some ways, because layerings of the past are coming back. And when you showed aspects of your authenticity didn't go down well before. But that's not what the situation here is. If the past is replaying itself, it's only to show you what needs to be integrated. It doesn't mean that that's going to happen again at all. So do not, under any circumstances, confuse the two. Do not confuse the old, saying that it's going to happen in the present or in the future. It isn't. It's just letting you know in a profound way that there's still more integration to go. Let's get you one more card here. What do we have for you? You've got this. You've got the Magician. This is absolutely your time to really move forward with your beautiful voice and your authenticity and everything you've got to say. All of your wisdom is absolutely needed. Again, there's nothing to it but to do it. I got that from somewhere else. That's somebody else's catchphrase. I just thiefed it and I can't remember where I got it, but it's absolutely incredible. And it absolutely applies to you. You've just got to power through it. Power through it. Keep showing your authenticity and work with the fragmentation. Forgive yourself. You've absolutely got this. But the external validation, the celebration is coming in. Trust that you've got this, but please do not dumb yourself down. This is a time for you to shine. Everything that you've wanted is coming in for you. Just hold the faith and deal with anything that comes up too. Remember, you've got that wish card. It's coming in for you. Anything that comes up, though, that needs to be integrated, take the time that you need to be able to do this. This is a process, right? This is profound healing on a really specific level for each and every one of you. So take the time to be able to do this. You're ready to heal from some very core, deep wounds right now. And you've been working on this systematically. This is not like, again, going to take years, but this is something that you can really hit home with right now. So honor the process while sharing your authenticity. So beautiful, Power Ones. That's what we have for you. Go be you. Sending you so much love and beauty for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. We're going to thank your guides. We're going to thank Spirit for coming in today. Feel free to go ahead and join us if you have not already. 2 beautiful readings a week, so come subscribe if you haven't. It helps out the channel. We would love that. And of course, hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. And down below, we have tons and tons of other resources too for you, for the Unicorn School of Light, etc., etc. Click on them down below if they feel as though something that you need. Always listen to your intuition. Beautiful, beautiful. Until we meet again, go be you, literally, Power One. Take care. Bye-bye. Yay, delightful pile 2s. If you chose this beautiful picture of freedom here, then your divine messages from Spirit are coming in, and your first divine message is this one. I invite peace within myself. I ripple this outwards. So this could be your mantra. This has something to do with the rest of your reading. This is just the beginning. Let's put this here. We are going to start with your oracle and then move into tarot a little bit later. So let's get right into your messages from Spirit right now. So we did this before. Really feeling these ones first. Warrior woman, have you answered your deepest calling? All right, that's your first. Then we have birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. Incredible. And you have luminosity. Look at you, pile 2. You got this going. And then you've got fire elemental. You've got 14 or 5. I ignite the fire within me that connects me to the divine. Beautiful. So here we go. Pile 2. You've got some beautiful energy going on. So there's this energy of sort of extreme expansion going on for you, Pod 2, and it's absolutely beautiful, right? And it's working out in the cosmos in a very specific way. It's working to sort of open up everything. And the type of light worker, the type of being that you are, is that you've worked in the expansive mode for a really long time, sort of lending your energy out into the collective, right? And that's been absolutely incredible for you. But there's different ways of working, and you're being called to sort of put your energy sort of back into yourself and move forward as a sort of a, not necessarily part of the collective, but part of just whatever it is that you're doing. And there's just a little bit of confusion around this energy coming in. But we can help you with that in a very practical way. You have the fire, you have the development, you have the passion to do what you want. And again, you have the drive to do something on a really sort of great level. And that's the way in which you have been working. Again, you've been working in this really expansive way and really using your light to illuminate sort of the collective and sort of the masses, right? Now you're being asked to really come back into yourself and sort of put yourself first, put your needs first, put what you want to do, what you personally want to do out into the collective. Now, you're extremely talented and you've got personal things going on. A lot of you want to start a business. A lot of you are insanely creative. A lot of you are bringing in sort of new modes of being and putting them together and putting things out there that haven't really been seen before. You've got the talent. This isn't a reading about that. You've absolutely got the talent. But a lot of you are feeling like a little bit confused because you're used to working in this sort of more expansive way of working with the collective. Now, you're still working with the collective in a way, but it's different. You're working with your own authenticity, your own being, and you're working to put it out into the collective, which gets taken and dispersed in a different way, right? So even though you were working sort of with your own ideology and with your own truth, still the way in which your energy was perceived was part of the collective. So it's not that you've broken off from that. It's just that that's what you were here to do, particularly in the last 2 years, 18 months. You were called to sort of do that in your own way. And now you're being called to sort of put yourself first. Now, this has triggered some of you, right? This has triggered some of you because you're incredible beings. And while you're there for everybody, you really have that empathic way of being. You're not necessarily very good at still putting yourself first. You're just not. You've gotten a lot better at it and you've had to learn boundaries. So there's things that you've done and created for yourself, certain situations to get yourself through this. You're a lot better about putting yourself first. And you do understand the meaning of putting yourself first, how important it is. That's absolutely true. And again, the boundaries you've had to work with. But this is something in the past. You've worked with those, you've moved through it. But you're still not, when it comes down to it, putting yourself completely first, where it's just you. You're singular. Yes, everything that you're doing is going out into the stratosphere. Everything you're doing is part of the collective. But when you're working on the person that you are in this own unique way, it's become a little bit triggering for you with the work that you do. It's like, because the energy is different that's behind you. Some of you are wondering if you have the universe behind you now. The universe is absolutely supporting you tenfold, but it feels different. So you feel as though you're on your own, and you feel as though, when you move out there and you're doing things on your own, things are hitting flat a little bit. They're not taking off quite in the way that you wanted to. And you're wondering if you're doing things right. You are doing things right. The energy is different in and around you, certainly, but you have all the help that you possibly need, but you're still working from the same mindset, from the same mind frame as when you were working with the collective or when you were working in this incredibly expansive way, which again was needed at that time. But now you've moved and you can sense that what was needed from you, the energy that was needed from you has shifted. You can sense that. And some of you are feeling as though you've fallen out of, the world's sort of fallen out, the bottom's fallen out. It's very exciting in some ways, but you feel very confused because now you feel as though you're on a different track. You don't know what you're doing. Things aren't hitting home. You feel as though you're kind of on your own. Some of you are feeling a little abandonment. from the universe, because the way in which, because you were working in the collective before, so of course you felt it all the time, right? You absolutely felt that, and you felt as if you were almost in the sort of womb type energy, and now it's sort of just you. It feels as though it's just you and your beautiful guides, but they're here. Thank goodness you're here, because everything you're doing is incredible. You are here to birth a new age. You are here to do something in the collective now that's just for you, that's actually going to shift the collective in a huge way, whether that's whatever you're bringing personally to the collective, whatever you're bringing there, not just your truths, but your creativity, your new job, whatever it is that you're doing just for you is actually going to incredibly help the collective, right? So you're being asked to really tap into what it is that you truly want for yourself. And again, for some of you, it's triggering a little bit, because it's, you know, it's almost like doing a 180. You were in this sort of mindset of like passion and moving forward. And again, you're working as an individual from the uniqueness that you had, with the luminosity that you had moving forward, but very much in the collective energy. And most of you do sort of know and have an inkling of what it is that you want to do. You're not completely lost there. It's just that you don't know how to revamp your energy and get it to the level that you were working at before. And some of you are still really dealing with and been triggered by these feelings of abandonment. You know, I don't feel you there anymore, guys. I don't know what's going on, you know, and everybody keeps telling you, you know, when you turn on YouTube, you know, keep that vibration high, you know, manifestations about vibration high, and you're like, F this, you know. Well, we're here to tell you that, you know, vibration's just one part of it, honestly, and a lot of that is bunk, really. If you're dealing with what you're dealing with in the moment, and you know who you are, and you know that you're a star, you know, you're going to be okay. Honoring the lower moments, honoring the lower vibrations actually gets you further in many ways. So it's good for you to lower your vibration and to stay there and really feel where it is. Now, don't get into that place where you're drowning in it, but honor where you are. Just because you're not in high vibe doesn't mean that you're not bringing in the energy that you need to propel you forward, right? It's not all about high vibe. When you're high vibe, you're one note. You're one note, and you know, you're not necessarily in a place of learning and moving forward. So never mind that high vibe stuff. We're not saying high vibes are terrible in any way, of course not, but don't worry about any of that stuff. Some of you are really taking on this energy a little bit too much and driving yourself a little bit crazy and going round and round and round. Basically, honor exactly where you are, and know that exactly where you are, as long as you honor it, even if it's low vibe, is going to be fine. It's all still part of you being part of the collective and putting yourself out there and being the high vibe person that you are internally. Again, invite the peace within you. Whatever you invite within you will ripple outwards. And sometimes you've just got to deal with that darkness, right? So it's not that any of you are really dealing with too much darkness. It's just that you're bringing on the energy of the old, trying to figure out what's going on. And some of you are feeling really like low about being low and getting yourself and your knickers in a twist a little bit about, you know, having that lower vibration when you don't need to be. Like, high vibe, fuck high vibe. If you're not there, that's fine. That's okay. It doesn't mean that, you know, you're not going to be able to click into your manifestation. All you need to do is really click into that manifestation for a couple of seconds. Know where you are. Feel into that person that you are when you have that manifestation, then believe you're going to get it. Honestly, the vibe is just dealing with your day-to-day life. So don't worry about that. You're all alchemists, and you have this passion to transmute the lower and move into higher. But honor the lower. Honor exactly where you are. If you're feeling confused right now, that's fine. If you're feeling abandoned right now, deal with it. To stay with that feeling. It's trying to tell you something. That's okay. Don't worry about being held back or it's going to take too long to get through this. Honor exactly where you are. So, but this is a chance for you, pal, too. This is a profound chance for you to really get into what it is that you actually want to do. Now, most of you have an inkling of what it is that you want to do, which is wonderful. But you have the chance to really sort of level up now. Go one step further and just say, all right, I want this. I said I wanted this. And one way that's really easy to work with this is you can just say to the universe, I want something that's for the highest of my higher self. Let's go the highest I can do with my higher self. I'm ready to level up and leave it open with an inkling of what it is. If you're a writer, if you're an artist, it's going to include some of that. That's it. But you can have the universe take you even further than you want to, right? And leave it open-ended. That's totally fine. Don't feel as though you have to have all of your ducks in a row to move forward, especially if you're feeling like you don't have a ton of clarity right now, or you're feeling a little confused or overwhelmed. Don't put the specifics on it right now. That's our advice to you. Keep it open. Again, keep in that expansive mode that you were there before. But again, your energy shifted. The way in which you're working with your guides is slightly different, but they have not abandoned you. They're absolutely there, and they're working diligently with you. And they understand why, for some of you, your energy could be a little bit lower than it has before. Again, you're rerouted. You've been rerouted, right? And you're being asked to really focus on yourself as an entity moving forward, and to put yourself first. And this is just strange for some of you, right? This is just strange, but it's going to be really incredible. Yeah. Give yourself a break. And also, it's putting yourself first and figuring out what it is that you want in your sort of, in your personal lives too. This is a way for you to rearrange stuff that's going on. This is a way for you to be very honest about your immediate circumstances, if they're working for you, what's going on there. Stepping up in those circumstances and saying, you know what, I want this or I want that. The universe is giving you exactly what you need, but they're giving you the foundations right now. They're working on the foundations and making sure that they're very firm for you moving forward. I.e., everything that you need sort of in the physical world is set up for you. So you have your office, you have this, you have that, maybe slightly mundane things, but they're paving the way for you to have a firm foundation so you can take off in some ways. So if you're looking for that real expansive version of self and you're not seeing that, then come back to the roots of what's going on. There's other things that are being cleared for you, maybe in a very basic way, maybe not in a very dramatic way necessarily, but there are things that are being provided for you so you can build that firm foundation to be out there. That is a clue. That's definitely an inkling that they are working with you and they're giving you what you absolutely need right now, whether you've asked for it or not. You may not have asked for it, but they're setting up that firm foundation for you, right? So you've got the 10 of Wands here and you've got the 3 of Cups, and then you've got the 9 of Swords. So yeah, you're being very hard on yourself and you're carrying this weight, also of the collective in ways that you may not realize, in ways that you don't really need to do anymore. You're coming back to an element of, they want you to come back to this element of celebration, of coming back to celebrating yourself or celebrating the sort of the individual, and individuals coming back to celebrate together. Right, again, the way in which you've been working in the world has shifted. And of course, that might be quite confusing for some of you in your energetic level. But we promise you, you're leveling up in this beautiful way and you're getting the chance to really fine tune what it is that you want, right? And also the other part of it is that you were strong enough. You were strong enough to take on the energy of the collective and hold the energy of the collective. Now, that is an extremely large thing to be able to do. So it's good for you to, and you've not dropped it. Some of you have felt as though, I don't even know what I'm doing in the world anymore. You can't figure out why you're feeling kind of depressed or feeling at odds, like you're not stepping up in the way that you could, or, feeling really disconnected or discombobulated in a way that sort of doesn't make sense in a way. And also, again, whatever you're putting out there might be falling flat a little bit because the energy around that you've been using isn't working anymore. That's totally fine. And it's totally reasonable. You are in the transition of moving back into the self. So it is about you stepping up and doing what it is that you really want. So really click into what it is that you want. And really work. Some of you have gone out of your way to say, I don't even know what's going on. I'm not even going to work with my guides anymore because you're feeling the abandonment. And it sounds weird to say, but this is a time to step up even more and work with your guides. They're absolutely showing you things. There's synchronicities there if you just look for them. And again, they're working on a very, very sort of pragmatic level. to give you this firm foundation in which you can spring in any different direction as long as you put yourself first. This is a chance for you to put your own personal healing first. And your own personal dream first. Now, the way in which you organize your dream in the world, the energy behind it might be different. So, that requires an energy shift, but that's fine. Take your time with that. Again, really watch for these seemingly small synchronicities and everything that's coming to you in a very practical way to show you that your foundation is being built for you. Because when you were working out in the collective, that was a completely different energy, of course, right? Because everything was vast and expansive. And now you've got these little details that are happening for you. And, and you might be sitting there going, well, I didn't ask for that, but actually that's kind of cool. I could use that, right? The universe is absolutely preempting what you need and giving it to you now to show you that they want you to be strong for when you put yourself out there and this energy comes back to you and you're going to be in the spotlight. Okay? So there will be celebrations in and around you. You don't need to take on the heaviness of the world anymore. So there's an energy of still carrying some of the weight from the collective. And at the same time, really, for some of you, you're not wanting to look at what the specifics of what it is that you want to do, because there's this energy of not wanting to put yourself first. Again, you've worked so hard with this. There's not a lot of healing that needs to be done. As we say on this channel, don't go down the rabbit hole doing all of that stuff. I need to heal this, I need to heal that. But at the same time, you are being asked to put everything that you want first and foremost, not what the universe needs, not what the collective needs, what you want. Now that may have shifted. So this could be a little bit of a halt for you, but this could be a good time for you to check in and see what it is that you want to do again. Be very, very specific. And if you don't know what that is, that's fine. The universe will take care of the details, but take care of the energy behind it and give yourself some space, some room to be able to shift this energy as you move into being a singular person in the limelight. Again, holding that collective energy, you've still got the expansiveness, but there has been a 180. So allow your energy to kind of catch up. You haven't been abandoned, but you're going to have to work with your guides in a slightly different manner. But none of this is a big deal. Watch for those synchronicities. Watch for those little things that are setting you up in that sort of first chakra, in the very specific things that you need. The foundation, the office, whatever it is, meeting the right people to move forward. It's very specific stuff. If you track it back, you may not have asked for it again, but it's coming in for you. And don't you dare be hard on yourself, pile 2. And don't you dare be hard on yourself, right? And don't take on the energy of the collective anymore. You can still be in that expansive realm, but it's your time to put down that energy of the collective and bring the energy back to you. Now, for some of you, again, this is something that's a little uncomfortable because you're not used to doing that, but that's okay. Allow yourself some time to shift. If this energy that you're putting out there and you're trying to take off and you're trying to do this is falling a little bit flat, it doesn't mean that it won't take off. Not at all. This is a chance for you to take some time and to create that very, very firm foundation in the practical world. You're used to being out there in the ethereal world. This is a very practical level of foundation that you're being asked to set up for yourself, right? For some of you, it could be like moving house and getting sorted in your new house, or setting up a new office, or whatever it is. It'll be very practical for each and every one of you, right? Now, it may seem boring. It may not seem as exciting as the work as you've been doing, and you will be connecting differently, but it's still very important work because that foundation allows you to spring in any direction. So you've got the Queen of Swords. That's still you getting out there with your beautiful desired truth that you have. And you've got the Ace of Pentacles. This is gorgeous. Nothing that you cannot do. It's just a shift in energy and how you get there. So the way in which you're perceiving things can be a little darker than they are, and that's fine. The confusion is there because you don't really know why things are falling flat a little bit. And again, the very same effort that you're putting out now could take off next week. It's not the effort that you're putting, it's not falling flat. It's just that you've plateaued a little bit as your energy shifts. But all the energy that you're putting out there is going there. It's just not as direct as it was before. It went direct and then it went expansive, like this sort of blew up with the energy because you were holding that energy for the collective. And now it's sort of shooting off in this direction, then it's shooting off here, and then it's coming back here, and it's coming. So it's all going differently, and it's very confusing for you. But it's all landing exactly where it needs to land. The right people, the right circumstances. So you're coming into this energy where there will be a lot of celebration. Lay down the way in which you did things before. That's just not the way that you're working anymore. Give yourself some room to really figure out the next step, but have faith in what you're doing. And again, look out for those smaller synchronicities. Something is about to take off, and your own uniqueness and your own voice is absolutely needed in this lifetime. And the way in which you use it might be slightly different. There's slightly different variants to it, but it's still needed. And this is what you have in common with Pile 1 too. You know, don't be worried about putting out your voice or putting out your energy in the same way that you did before in the collective. That's totally fine. But the way in which you work with the energy will be slightly different. But it doesn't mean that you shouldn't be out there. But if everything's falling flat right now, still keep going. Still keep going. Again, this is just a sort of it's a reset for you. It's a small reset that you have. So while this is happening, not a lot of energy can be collected in there. So it doesn't feel as though you're getting anywhere, but you are. Keep at it. You are. It's all going to come back at the same time. Your energy is just shifting. And once it's shifted, and it's sort of like clicked into place, you're going to be able to go in many different directions. Again, this firm foundation is being worked out for you. But, you know, work with your guides. They're absolutely there for you. And you guys are tight with you. Have very, very powerful guides. Yes, they're communicating with you differently. Yes, they're working in your life differently, without a shadow of a doubt. Things have changed. Absolutely. There's been a 180, but you still have that power and you are still wanted in this world. Some of you are even feeling like, all right, you've done. Mission is done. I'm out. I don't know what I'm doing here. That mission is done. You have a different mission coming in. You have a different connection. And again, put your energy first. Be very clear about what it is that you want. And it doesn't have to be specific, you know, but be very clear about what it is that you want. But for some of you, you do know what you want and you've been planting those seeds, but you've been working in the collective so long. They're taking you off there to put you on a new mission. So stay with it. You've got this. But please go back to your divine guides. They're absolutely here for you today, supporting you. And they will give you what you need. You just need to reach out to them in a different way. You have not been abandoned in any way. Look at this Ace of Pentacles. Everything's coming together. And it will take off quite quickly. Again, you may work in different directions, but it will be taking off quite quickly once this foundation has been laid. So keep being you and watch out for those synchronicities. They've absolutely got your back. You've got some powerful work coming out in the sort of the individual realm, right? But it does not mean that you still will not be influencing and helping and rising up with the collective. You will be, but just in a different way. So go be you, Pile 2. That's what we have for you. Sending you so much love and support and beauty for exactly who you are and where you are in the world. With some beautiful things going on. Celebrate your uniqueness. Celebrate this new mission that you've got for putting yourself forward. And again, if you have not subscribed, feel free to do that. We would love to have you and hit that bell icon so you never miss a reading. And of course, give us a thumbs up. We would love that. A lovely little like. And there's so many different resources from the podcast to Unicorn School of Light website, blah, blah, blah. Everything is down below. If there's anything or any extra support, a lot of it is free. A lot of free content. If there's any extra support that you need, go listen to your intuition. The links are down below. Go check it out. Until we meet again, Pile 2, take care. Bye-bye. Beautiful Pile 3s, last but not least, if you chose this bunny moon, then this is your reading. And again, we have your divine messages from Spirit. So this will be your first message. I choose to take a higher perspective and widen my views. So this could be your mantra. This will give you an indication of some of the messages that will be coming through for you today. We are starting with the Oracle and then moving on to Tarot. We've been starting with these, so let's get into your reading. Answer the call. What is your soul calling you to do? Beautiful. That's your first card. And we have Pleiades, double mission, channeling and uplifting humanity. Beautiful. Then we have the Garden. Lovely. And then you have your own path, 21. I follow my own unique path with courage and strength. All right, so you've got something in common with pile 2 here. Different energy. But yeah, so the first message that's coming through for you, pile 3, is that you have definitely come, yeah, you've got something in common with pile 2. You've definitely come to a new plateau of healing. Again, different energy. So if you want to check out pile 2, that's up to you, but you don't need to. You've come to a new plateau of sort of healing where you've peeled back the layer of the onion. And again, we want to be very clear about what healing is. Everybody needs healing. It's not a dirty word. It really isn't. Yes, we're not suggesting in any way that you're not whole, but we've all come through some kind of trauma in our lives. And all that means is as you peel those layers back, you can see them for what they are and then be able to see the totality of who you are and the gloriousness of who you are. That's it. If you do not do this work, you will be forever projecting your wounds onto other people. That's just layman's terms. That's how it works, right? But healing is not a dirty word, and we're not suggesting that you're lesser than because you seek it out. So you've reached a new plateau of healing, right? And I mean, like everybody else, there's always sort of more work to do and all of that. Yeah, absolutely. We're not suggesting that you're absolutely done there in any way, shape, or form, But at the same time, you've reached this new plateau of healing, and you're at the sort of at the top of your world, looking down a little bit of everything that you've done, right? And this is an incredible place to be, because even if there's a new way for you to be, like there's fragments and old energies for you that needs to be called back. And for some of you, there are. You're aware of what they are. There's nothing really right now for you, pile 3, that you're not aware of. That doesn't mean to say that everything's been integrated yet, but you know how to integrate, and you know what's up. You can literally stand on the top of your world, look back at every moment of your past, and be able to sort of pull out the wisdom from each and every part of it. And some of you are actually going back to your past and looking over some stuff. And it's quite painful, and it's not for the faint-hearted, but you're absolutely able to do that. The strength that you have is absolutely incredible. You're sort of reliving old versions of self, not in a way that's going round and round and round, because, what's the point of doing that and driving yourself nuts? Not at all. You're actually at the point of strength where you're able to go back and sort of relive, but from a different perspective, and really get a new nuanced idea of what really happened. So you're at this point of healing that's really kind of dramatic in a way, because it's, you're not that person that all of that stuff happened to you. So when you go back, it's painful and it takes you back there, but you're able to see the person that you are now, and you're able to really distinguish between the two people, right? And you're really sort of making these sort of dramatic shifts in your mind, body, and soul of saying, all right, that happened to me. That was really horrible. And for some of you, in very specific ways, and our heart goes out for you, there's fragmented versions of yourself where trauma happened for some of you, where you're so fragmented out of a need to survive. And you guys, some of you have done this really, really impeccable and difficult work of going back and finding those fragments. Now, there's usually fragments of ourselves all over the place. We give away our power, we give away our energy, sometimes knowingly, sometimes not. And, in different circumstances where we're a child, we don't know where we don't know what we're doing out of survival, in relationships that are lesser than, whatever reasons we do this, right? And a lot of us have done this in one way, shape, or form. Society, the way in which we fragment ourselves in order to fit into society, right? And for what reason, we don't know. Thank God society is crumbling, or what we consider society is crumbling. But you've done it in a very specific way, and this takes an enormous amount of courage, an enormous amount of bravery, where you've actually gone in, and it's almost like psychic surgery, and you're going back and you're actually bringing back those fragments that have come in from trauma, and from some of you, like from abuse. And this is very, very deep work. Now, this is work that you can do one-on-one. You're already doing this with yourself. And this is work that you can do one-on-one with others. And again, with the collective. This is very, very deep work. And this is definitely not work for the faint-hearted. Not everybody is able to work at this level, because most people are working at the level of survival and trying to get through life. And even if they've worked from, from the level of survival moving into thriving, they're still not able to go in. This is sort of surgeon's work. There's different levels of sort of healing. There's different levels of what we can do here. When you get into trauma, it can get, and even abuse, it can get into, hairy territory pretty easily. With how we deal with it or don't deal with it in society, and how we approach it, right? Now, you are incredible in how you approach it, and you are going to be able to do this work with other people, but of course it has to start with yourself. You have the integrity, you have the beauty to be able to do this, and you have this incredibly expansive heart that does not judge. It really does take this incredible amount of ingenuity to be able to do this kind of work, and it's not easy work. Now, we're not going to freak any of you out, we hope, but there's another level to this which is quite interesting, and not all of you need to do this, and not all of you will do this. But the other side of this is that there's entity removals in this too. So part of like the trauma is taking, it's literally liberating the soul from the entity that may have creeped in there when the trauma happened. So there's different levels of this, bringing somebody back to themselves in this really direct way, but again, very, very significant, very deep work, healing work. And then also removing entities. And if you want to call it one step further, it could be sort of exorcisms, for want of a better term. But we don't want to freak you out. Not everybody will be doing that work, and not everybody wants to do that work. And if you don't, then you just don't put your energy there, and that's fine. But for some of you, you're able to do this work. And for some of you, that's part of the work that you're doing. That's probably the next level, the next tier. And for those of you who are receiving these messages and going, oh yeah, that's me, then you're not afraid, because you understand what evil really is. You've worked within the darkness. It doesn't really affect you quite the way. It's work that you would have done through, throughout your life, to really understand the notion of evil, insofar as what we've been taught it is, the collective energy around evil, which is extreme, right? But not necessarily accurate, and how it all works and comes together, right? So let's see. And this is not a religious thing. You don't have to go off and be a priest to do any of this work. They have a very specific version of how exorcisms work, and that's fine. I actually talk about this on one of my podcasts, which I think is interesting, so you can check that out if you want to. But so yeah, this is kind of a new level for you in some ways, but it's not really a leveling up in some ways. It's just more of a sort of a choosing to go off in a different direction, which is kind of an interesting direction. One lesser sort of taken, as it were. So, some of you have been feeling as though you've been in a little bit of a holding pattern, because again, like Pal 2, your energy has been shifting. So you've been doing sort of the opposite of Pal 2 in some ways. They were working in the collective, coming into the individual. You've been working in the collective. You always work in the collective, but you've been working in the individual sense in some deep, deep rooted ways, insofar as that now you're able to go really, really deep and do this kind of work that not a lot of people can do, right? And you're ready to do it. There had to be a timeout for you to be able to excavate. Again, go in and be able to do this work really well. And of course, that means that you need to be able to do this work on yourself first, right? And again, people around you. Some of you might be already in business doing this sort of on a smaller scale. But this is something that can blow up for you in a good way. Expand. That's probably the word that we need to use. Expand in a good way if you're writing a book or working with people sort of on a mass level. These understandings that you're coming up with and how we're working with trauma are really needed, because it's sort of lacking in society. We rely on medications, we rely on this. There's nothing wrong with medicine, there's nothing wrong with science, but it only goes so far, right? And herbalism, and that's wonderful too, going back to the ways of the ancestors. All of that is great, but some bridge in the middle could be something that you're interested in, right? Because we don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We don't have to go one way or the other way, coming back into center. But for you, and this is, but you'll be working on the spiritual end of this, without a shadow of a doubt. You'll be working on the spiritual end, but some of you might have a medical background. Again, there's ways in which you're bringing in psychology and ways that we've been working into this too. But you have this very, very deep level of going in and being able to help people in a very, very specific way. Now, you're sensing that way is opening up for you, that path is opening up for you, and it's up to you to choose it if you want to do it. Now, there's various different degrees on each and every one of you, for each and every one of you, of how you work with this work or you don't work with this work. But again, this is a private path for you to go off. Now, you'll be able to do this work and do many other things that you want to do. For some of you, it could be like art therapy, or it could be poetry. But it's not just write a poem. What you do is deep, deep work. You'll be bringing in many different layers where people are working with this energy. They really need to be ready to be working with this energy. They have to be at a particular level of healing to be able to work with this energy. But you'll be able to work with people at all levels and support them at all levels, getting to where they need to be, and then you can do this work. And this is the kind of work that we need, because it's the kind of work where people are feeling seen and acknowledged for who they are. They're not a number. They're not just a name. They're not just, whatever. They're individual, and each and every person's experiences are taken into consideration, which is something that doesn't often happen with trauma. They get lumped into this, they get lumped into that, and, and this is something that you can really step up. So this is a kind of a specific reading. But this is, again, the way in which you work with this energy really will help the collective. And also, as most people have realized, especially in the spiritual community, everything's come up in the collective. It's been dumped out. Everything's being seen now. That doesn't mean to say that there's one version of events. There's many different timelines that are playing out. And wherever you put your energy, that's where you're going to find the proof, right? But it's all true at the same time. It's all happening at the same time, but everything's been dumped out there. Everything's there. So we can see it all now, which is wonderful, right? So there's not one narrative that's right over the other, right? Whatever's right for you, but it's all out there. So there was a divine timing aspect to you moving forward to doing this work. Everything needed to be dumped out there, and it is. So this is the time for us to be able to choose how we move forward and what we put into the new earth, the energy of the new earth. And of course, healing trauma collectively and individually is absolutely huge. And the way in which we've been doing it before has just been masking it. We've not been doing it properly. You can really come in and help at different levels. And again, each and every one of you will bring in something nuanced, something that you do specifically, but you'll be doing this deep, dark healing work, right? And it's not for the faint-hearted. It's not for the faint-hearted. This is something that you've done in previous lifetimes also. This is something that you've been waiting to do also in your lifetime. It's almost like a lot of you knew what you wanted to do, but a lot of you felt as though, why hasn't my life taken off yet? Why am I a late bloomer? Why am I not doing what I want to do? Because there was a divine timing with the humanity shifting for doing what you're doing. You decided to come back into this earth. You've done this work before. You know what you're doing. But again, this work is layered in with all the new stuff and who you are in this lifetime, right? And there's a real sort of divine masculine energy to this work too, because you're really stepping up in a way that, regardless of gender, you're really stepping up in this sort of very pragmatic, wonderful way and presenting this evidence, which could be spiritual, but it absolutely friggin' works, right? Because of the wisdom and everything that you've had in previous lifetimes, in previous incarnations has brought you here. And again, everything that you've learned in this lifetime too has really strengthened how you can help other people. Now, some of you have been from hell and back. Like, you've gone through trauma after trauma after trauma, and it's been, for some of you, our heart goes out to you. It's been absolutely, can't get a break, and it's been absolutely rough. So from anyone what trauma looks like from the inside out. in many different directions. And this is part of what needed to happen, unfortunately, for you to be able to do your work accurately in this lifetime. And you're going to be doing some very, very powerful work. You already are. That doesn't excuse anything that happened to you, doesn't excuse, people who treated you the way that they did. Absolutely not at all. But you are in an extreme position to be able to do that. You also hold space for people in a way that not a lot of people do. Insofar as when an individual person talks about their trauma, you do not speak about that trauma from the filter of your trauma or the filter of what you think their trauma should look like. Not at all. You give space to their trauma completely. And this is kind of brand new. It sounds really simple, but unfortunately it doesn't happen that often. People listen, but as they're listening, they're thinking about what they're going to say next, or nobody really allows anyone to have their own opinion because everything's filtered through somebody else's opinion, or everybody has an opinion about somebody else's perception of what they've been through in this world. Oh, that didn't really happen. How can you say that? You're not that person, right? But you're coming out from this profound sense of space, and allowing people just to have that space of where they're coming from. And from that, you can extract the right information to be able to help them. And again, bring back these fragments of themselves, this really, really deep pulling work. And at the same time, extract whatever is sort of hindering them, if it's an entity or whatever, and take that out and really be able to give that space to them. This is incredible work. And again, you've been waiting to do this for a while, and you'll be all doing this in completely different levels. So if some of you have been plateauing recently going, I think I know what I want to do, but I don't know how to do this, or nothing's kind of moving, then, come back to a sense of what it is that you want to do and the specifics of how this will work for you. And again, you might need to expand your world vision a little bit more, saying, all right, well, I wanted to do this on, one-to-one basis, but maybe I can do it on a more expansive basis. Maybe I need to write a book, or maybe I need to do this, or maybe I need to make a course, or maybe I need to do whatever it is that you need to do. Come back to yourself, and each and every one of you, each and every one of you will have a different take on this. But this is something that, and again, however you take this information is up to you. You don't need to become an exorcist. You don't need to work with entities or do any part of that. It's just that there's an energy around you, and you do have the knowledge to be able to do this. And how you integrate this into what you do, either into your day-to-day job or something that's on the side, whatever, or just doing this for humanity. This is something that's coming up for you now. But you do have the chance to take this in a sort of a leveled up position if you want to, which requires, an incredible amount of strength. And you're ready to be able to do this because you are unique, and it does require courage and strength. And this is something that you could have been laying down the essence for. And this is like divine timing for you to move forward and excel at this, but you have to choose it. Just because you can do something in this lifetime does not mean that you need to do it. The universe needs to know that this is something that you can do, but that you want to do. So it's up to you to step up if you want to. But a lot of you do. You've got the 2 of Wands, and you've got the 4 of Wands. So a lot of you want to make these changes. A lot of you want to heal this trauma. A lot of you want to go on this path of making the world a better place, and you do it in a very sort of practical way too. Again, laying out the groundwork for one-on-one work or group work. This is like on the ground root work, but it works in society, it works in our communities, and that's what we need to do in order to heal properly. It's wonderful to hold energy for the expansiveness of the collective and holding that light. Absolutely. That's very, very important work. Without that work, we wouldn't even be on this precipice. But now there's grassroots work of holding space for other people, holding space for what they've been through. Now, for some of you, you will be doing this work automatically by just walking into a room and sitting with someone. Right? And there could be some projections there because you have this energy, people's demons are going to come out. They're not going to like you. They're not going to like your light. And that's fine. That's usually the entity's talking. Don't worry about that. But this is a way for you to build communities up, new communities up from the roots up, with this kind of level of integrity that honestly that we've not had before, and this level of like care that we've just not had before. And this is absolutely incredible. And you're ready to do this and to move forward. And there's going to be help for you to be able to do this. And again, the way in which each and every one of you sort of approaches this work or doesn't approach it, because you don't have to do it in this lifetime, but it's there for you to do if you want to. But again, you're being asked to choose it if you want to, and to what degree you want. Now, you can go backwards and forwards with this, but the universe is really asking you and saying, you know, this is incredible work. You can do it. It's a lifelong work. You're absolutely ready to do it, and you're absolutely able to do it because of everything that you've been through, not just in this lifetime, but many different lifetimes. This is a long time coming. This is not your first rodeo, but they're asking you to choose it, to step up and choose it. And some of you can feel the immenseness of what's being asked of you. And you're not skirting around it. You're taking your time, and that's perfectly reasonable. But if you're wondering why things aren't moving forward yet, it's the universe is making sure that this is what you really want. And again, you don't have to be specifics about how it's going to look, but speak to your guides and make sure that you're both on the right track. All right, I definitely want to do this work. This is how I think it's going to work, but I want it to be of the highest degree for myself and, of course, for the universe, for the collective. This is not easy work. Not a lot of light workers will be able to do this work. Not a lot of light workers want to do this work, right? So you're in a position to do it, but again, it's up to you to step up and acknowledge that you're at this point where you want to move forward with it, if you do. So let's get you one more message from the moon. Gratefully, I surrender my struggle. Absolutely. So this is about you stepping up. For those of you who have been skirting around or wondering why you're not moving forward or feeling a little overwhelmed, or, you know, again, this in pile one, you've got this in common with pile one, you know, moving out of one energy into another and just feeling as though you're not on the right track, or just feeling a little confused or discombobulated or even abandoned because, you know, you don't feel as though that connection with spirit is there. It's because you've shifted and you've moved in to this new sort of realm of what you can do. So again, surrender. Surrender to what it's going to look like, but speak to your guides about the next leveling up. And again, there's many different variants of this, how you will be able to do this and how you'll be able to do this work. We've made it sound really intense today, and it is intense work, you know, to a degree, but it doesn't have to come off as intense. You can do it in many different ways, but make sure you're ready for it. Speak to your guides, and just say, you know, I surrender to this path. A lot of you are feeling this greatness. A lot of you are feeling this responsibility. A lot of you are feeling the immenseness of what it is that you can do, but you've not quite stepped onto that path yet because you can feel how huge it is. That's fine. Take your time, but that's what's causing this kind of alarm that's going on. But there's nothing really there to be alarmed about. You're on the right path. You know what you're doing. You just have to choose it. Once you choose it, you'll be on that path. But don't worry, you've got it. You've got the immenseness of it. You are going to absolutely shine with this work in a way that you can't even imagine. So go be you. Pile 3, that's what we have for you. We're sending you so much love and support for exactly where you are and who you are in the world. Incredible stuff coming up for you. And again, if you feel like you want to hit up Pile 2, that's totally up to you. You might get something extra out of that. So if you haven't subscribed, we would love to have you. 2 beautiful, very in-depth psychological readings. We really do that in Unicorn Light Tarot a week. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a video. And of course, we'd love to get a thumbs up for you, from you, for you, however you want to do it, you want to. And don't forget, there's tons of resources down below in the description box. Click on them. A lot of them are free to support you in many different ways, from the website to the school. Anything you want is down below. Always listen to your intuition, but it's there if you need it. Until we meet again, Pile 3, go be you. Take care. Bye-bye.